Com a taxa de desemprego dos Estados Unidos flertando com níveis mais baixos da história, perde a força a narrativa corporativa que sustenta a teoria da Grande Renúncia, também conhecida como a Grande Demissão. Empresários dos mais variados setores, com dificuldade para encontrar mão de obra, insistem na ideia de que os trabalhadores optam por deixar seus empregos para viver de assistência governamental. Mas quem estuda o assunto sabe que não é o caso.
I think the whole, what has often been called great resignation, has changed considerably in recent months. If we were having this conversation at the end of August in 2021, there was a lot of concern about the great resignation. 4.2 million people had left the workforce, either leaving it or looking for other jobs. But right now, there's little evidence of this phenomena still being in place. Of course, there's always churning in the workforce, but another economist in the U.S. has called what we're experiencing right now the great reshuffling.
Citando baixos salários, falta de respeito e pouca oportunidade de crescimento, muitos americanos deixaram seus trabalhos a fim de buscar uma recolocação melhor.
It's never been easier to find out about a job and switch a job. You know, if you think about it, if you go back 20, 25 years, to find a job meant you had to look at the newspaper, write a letter. And these are things that perhaps our parents had to do. Now, you know, this generation is getting inundated with job opportunities every 5 minutes on multiple social media accounts. If you want to find out about a job on the other side of the planet, it literally costs you nothing.
Essa grande reorganização, como vem sendo chamado o novo fenômeno, pode mudar toda a dinâmica trabalhista dos Estados Unidos, que viu seus sindicatos encolherem perigosamente nas últimas décadas. Para se ter uma ideia, em 2021, pouco mais de 10% dos americanos eram sindicalizados, menos da metade da porcentagem registrada em 1983, quando essa contagem passou a ser feita.
It will have, I think, very, very profound implications. What that is dependent on in some ways is the extent it also translates into a political force. We've seen one manifestation of this that does affect lower wage workers very recently, which was the surprise victory of workers organizing a union at a huge Amazon warehouse in New York, 8,000 workers. All of a sudden, any serious analyst of labor would have said they don't have a chance. And yet they stood that on their head and built a union in part because all the turbulence affecting the economy, but also at Amazon, a sense that the company just didn't care, and that is being reflected in other workplaces as well.
O movimento dos trabalhadores da Amazon de Nova York deve inspirar outros por todo o país. Empregados da gigante Starbucks também já começam a se organizar.
I think there's a certain level of just rebooting that relationship between the employer and the employee that has to happen. Maybe the power difference has shifted. Now the employee has a little bit more to bring to the table. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that just means there's an opportunity to really redefine what these relationships look like.
Caso a sindicalização estadunidense ganhe força, como tudo indica, o corporativismo feroz americano vai ter que aprender na prática o que a teoria já sabe há tempos.
The data is pretty clear. If you lose a good employee, it typically takes about 122% of their annual salary to replace them. So if you have a good employee, it is always best to keep them. I can come up with no scenario where economically, financially, it's better to lose.